Hello, dear folks. Welcome to the show. Jack Chow on East West with Gene TV. For the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about what happened in France, about the publication of Charlie Hebdo and the massacre that happens on the 7th of January. What a black day. The whole world mourns for those who gets killed in that incident. And the whole world is denouncing such a heinous crime that the human race will never tolerate. Right? Yet, as days go by, when the fallen heroes are buried, people start to think. So the thinking comes, the thinking follows. So there is lots of comment from all directions, and there are lots of symptoms that showed up. And one, we noticed that the immediate week of the incident, there was an increase of the publication of the circulation for extra print of 3 million copies. And the word has it that the coming week, there's going to be 5 instead of 3 million additional copies of the cartoons, still with the Prophet Muhammad on the front page as the cover. So I surrender myself to my friend, Mr. Drexel Smith, for some sophisticated analysis, I would say, in consideration about number 1, the instant, right? Number 2, freedom. Number 3, limitation. Number 4, violence, of course, right? Number 5, terrorism attack, right? So on and so forth, putting together as a whole pot of problems. How are we supposed to peel off layer after layer to get to the core value, right? So you want to start by, oh, by the way, I take it for granted. Just for my audiences who just turn on the TV and see my handsome face for the first time, and see this more handsome face for the first time though, here's the introduction. Mr. Drexel Smith is an expert of energy, probably more precise to be nuclear energy. And he is also I would say, senior researcher of international relationships, and he is involved in international relationship. And he seems to be quite more familiar than I am with Middle East, with the issues of Middle East, and with the conflicts of religious problems. So, should I say welcome to the show?
Jack, I'm never sure I can.
I tried to cheer up, but the subject is so heavy.
That I can live up to your introduction. I'm honored, as always, to be here with you. I'm just a citizen of the world, more than an expert. Jack, I'm agreeing with you in completeness with your introduction of this event as being horrific.
That is very, very much so.
I like to look at opportunity.
All right.
Whenever there's a horrible crisis, I'd like to look more toward what's next.
All right. Okay. Good thinking.
My view is that this issue in France creates a unique opportunity that maybe for the first time in a long time, the major world countries, and I'm talking about China, Russia, the US, the European allies, even the Middle Eastern countries, isn't this an opportunity for us to get together on a topic
Quite a thought.
where we as a group unite and say, we will not, as a civilized world, tolerate this radical behavior.
Of course not.
We, as a society worldwide, I'm talking about the planet,
All right.
should simply unite on this topic and say, we will not tolerate this. How wonderful it would be to have this as a rallying point for us to have something we can all agree on. We have, on your show, talked a little bit before about this radical element.
All right.
And of course, my very limited knowledge, more curious reading than study,
All right.
you know,
Very limited. Yeah.
it,
I know. Go ahead. Go ahead.
you know, it goes back to Muhammad and making choice of which child that set the stage for multiple Islamic religious groups. Jack, I have no issue with Islam. I have no issue with any religious group.
Neither do I.
I feel passionately strong that every man and woman deserves the opportunity to choose to participate in a religion or not as their choice.
All right.
I feel strongly that that should be a right people enjoy around the world.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I will share with you a quick story. A number of years ago, I had a engineering task from a customer, and I had to go from 0 to 35 engineers almost overnight.
Uh-huh.
To staff that quickly, we ended up bringing in people from all over the world.
Whoever qualifies.
Okay? I had people from Africa, the Middle East, from China, from all over that came together for this urgent project. And we put together an intensive training program and work and this and that. And after several weeks, I had a man come to my office,
Uh-huh.
a middle-aged man. He had tears down his cheeks.
Oh.
And he said to me, Mr. Smith, I'm not a young man. I have worked on projects in many places in the world. But this is the first project I've ever been where I've been here almost a month. Nobody has asked me my religion.
All right.
And I'm so happy. Because my attitude was, I don't care. Just don't bring it to the office.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
Leave it to yourself, leave it to
Very
home.
good. Very good.
My tolerance for anybody that wants to worship as they choose is their personal business.
Yeah, you're right.
Don't bring it to the office.
You're right.
Don't force your religion on somebody else.
Yes, you're right.
So now we have this radical element that under their banner of their religion, they think it's justifiable to steal children and convert the women, these child girls, to a religion. It's okay to behead people because they don't think the way you think. It's okay to go murder somebody. It's okay to take on buildings. It's time for the world to say, we're done. We as a world will not tolerate it. And that's my plea.
All right. I have probably a little bit in a disagreement with you. About 99% I am in agreement with you. The thing is that you seem to be talking about religion as a whole, or certain religion as a whole. But what we're facing now is a problem that we have to set aside the terrorist attack of certain individuals from certain religion that they happen to be believing. Am I making a point?
I'm being very specific that I am not talking about an entire religion.
All
I'm
right,
talking
you're right.
about
Okay, yeah.
the radical
I'm just
element.
I'm just confirming
No,
that if
I'm
we are
talking about
if we are on the same page.
the radical element.
Yes, you're right.
And by the way,
Uh-huh.
I don't care what the radical element of
All
what
right.
religion.
Okay, good.
If they're radicals to the point that they think it's okay to go kill people, they're wrong.
Of course. We will
Period.
not tolerate that.
It's the
There is
radical
zero tolerance of that extent.
Yeah, whether we call it the radical this or jihad or this or I don't care what the
Doesn't
name
matter.
is.
Doesn't
Talking
matter.
about the
Yeah.
radical element.
Yes. The radical element, the
Does that get
terrorist
us closer
attack,
to 100%?
That gets almost 100%. Yet there are emphasis to be made. After this short moment of break, when we come back, we'll touch base with each of the elements.
Yes.
See if we are really on the same page.
Yes.
Right. Now I still say 99.99%. There is still 0.001. Right.
Well,
percent.
that
We may need to discuss. Right?
but that means that we will have a good discussion if
We
there's
will.
still some
We will, yeah.
area.
All right, good. So to my audience, especially to you who just turned on the TV or for the first time watch this show, though, my name is Jack Chow. I'm on the East-West Show with GNE TV. My guest is Mr. Drexel Smith, a backbone kind of information provider that I rely upon quite a lot. This show likes him a lot. He likes the show, vice versa. We'll be right back. Stay with us, please. Hello, my dear folks, my fellow Americans. Welcome back to the show. As my audiences, I feel that probably you like this show because we try everything possible to bring you information that we believe will imbue your life with the positivities rather than negativities. Joining me in such a maneuver is my good friend, Mr. Drexel Smith, and an expert of energy and an expert of life who knows very little about life, he says. Well, anyway, that's very little.
I'm still learning.
I'm still learning too. Let's talk about the very little, right? The subject today is the consequences of or I say, consequences in thoughts, rather say that, after the massacre that happened with Charlie Hebdo on January the 7th in France. The event was such a dark day that the whole world mourned, and still the drag over is still hanging, right? We're trying to do some aftershock math, trying to do some aftershock consideration to see, have we done what we should do, or was it handled in a way it should be? Things like that. Okay, to get to the point, my point, correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, by the way, once again, whatever I say on this show is totally nothing but my personal opinions. It doesn't represent this show, nor does it this organization. It's me, Jack Chow, as a person, as an individual, right? So please do not take me wrong. I'm not making an announcement on behalf of the show, neither do I on the organization. I'm just expressing myself, applying my constitutional right of freedom of speech. That kind. Now, dear Drexel, okay, we are living in a world that we called diversified, right? Diversification to me means that you have all kinds of people, old, young, woman, man, male, female, right? With different cultures, speaking different language, attached to different religions or non-religions, right? Which means there is no universal definition of anything. For example, a color green might be good, right? If I say give you a green hat or on St. Patrick's Day, you'll probably be happy. If you give me one on that day, whatever day, I will kill you. Why? That's an insult. Because wearing a green hat in China means that you're being cheated by your woman. You're dumped. So, the small thing like a hat, like a green hat, right? How come it pulls apart so greatly? Because of culture, because of understanding, because of believing, things like that, right? Now, we are talking about being artists, being even sarcastic artists. You draw cartoons. You apply your freedom of speech. You apply your freedom of expression. But do or does freedom or freedom of expression have limit? Please.
No.
It has no limit?
No.
No boundaries?
No.
Why, please, explain.
Well, I would like to first take one step back. That your opening of the cultural diversification in the world,
Okay.
I understand, I agree with completely. I think it's wonderful that our world is full of such cultural diversity. Period.
Okay. Right.
Now,
I agree.
I shift a little bit because I think that there are a list of rules that should apply universally to everybody on our planet. The rule of don't kill somebody.
No. Okay.
The rule of
No.
don't
Come on.
steal.
Excuse me. I am saying in the very first place, killing, criminal act is the
I
heinous
think
crime that needs to be denounced 100%, needs to be punished 100%, that goes against humanity, and that's all right. There is no doubt. That's not even the issue here.
I'm trying to separate that there are a set of rules.
All right.
And the list is probably not very long, okay? But there are a list of issues that are criminal, that we've defined as criminal, that I think are pretty universal.
All right.
It crosses culture, it crosses the countries, it crosses religion, and I think that those are pretty well universally acknowledged.
Okay.
The cultural differences that you speak of, I fully understand. I think the green hat analogy is most amusing, and maybe from today forward, I will never wear a green hat on St. Patrick's Day again for it to be
You
confused.
can do. You can hold on to your culture. I won't. Yeah, I won't.
For it to be confused.
Uh-huh.
But I say to you, the freedom to express an idea, to me,
Does it have a limitation?
should be unbridled.
No. Okay. All right. Yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
Okay.
I agree
You've
to
asked
let
for-
you have the freedom of saying that.
You've asked for my view.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, is there consequences? The answer is
Of course there is.
oftentimes. You and I have become good friends.
And we still are, and we shall remain.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
As friends, I believe there's a high degree of respect.
Yeah. Mutually.
Okay? Because of that respect, I wouldn't dare insult a friend. Okay?
Okay. All right. So
So
I get your point.
the respect word comes along with this freedom. Yes, I have the freedom to say things, maybe even things that are
do
hurtful.
you respect
But
that
out
I
of respect,
might, yeah, yes.
even if I thought it, I wouldn't say that. Okay?
All right.
Now, this crazy magazine in France with the cartoons, would I buy one? No.
All right. Okay. All
Would
right.
I buy one?
Okay.
No. Many people don't buy it. Many people believe that it went over the edge of respect. So it's a two-part question.
All right.
On this hand, do I think that they have the freedom to express themselves? Yes, I will defend that freedom.
Yes, I do that too.
Is there a responsibility that they have some respect? I think they do.
Yes, I do agree too.
Okay?
Yeah, that's the part we're talking about.
But now I don't believe it's up to a government with rules to come in and dictate.
No. We're not talking about government
let me
action.
finish, Jack.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't believe it's up to any radical element to say, I disagree with you so much I'm going to come kill you. I think the respect is two ways.
Are you done?
Yes.
You're done. Okay.
On
Now,
that.
once again, please do me a favor. Never mix these two issues together. Killing is a crime.
Yes.
Especially that kind of killing.
Yes.
Right? Is a heinous crime that will never be allowed, never be tolerated. Right? If I'm called for, I will join them to go against, to fight against it, even at my own cost, the cost of my own life. That is a done deal. We put it aside, shall we? Now let's talk about limitation. I'll give you an example. We're going over time. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the example. Okay? Sure. Stay with us. Hello, dear folks. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow with Mr. Drexel Smith are in a discussion about the incident that happened in France triggered by the Charlie Hebdo event, right? And we're talking about the aftermath, the consideration about what we should do, or is there anything we can still try to fix it? We have a broken world right now. So we want to do something to see if there's anything that we could do. Now, back to the point about limitation. As freedom versus limitation. Okay. Years ago, we used to do a event, which is a street fair event in the city of Rosemead. Lots of new immigrants from a certain part of China. They like to eat this what they call stinking tofu, which smells very bad, but tastes so good. It's a very famous food, right? And then next year, when we started rescheduling the same event, though, the city wrote me as one of the organizers actually do the job, saying that at the very bottom of the very document saying, please, no stinking tofu. We accept it, we capitulate it. I now say, hey, it's our freedom. It's my freedom to eat what I want to eat. Right? I respected the fact that there might be people, there are people who do not like the smell of it. So, with the result, harmony. Result, peace. Right? Another example, probably be a totally different scenario, but same spirit. Say custody situation. Somebody grabs somebody ransom, hold the custody, and then there comes a negotiator walking into a building which is surrounded already with sharpshooters, right? Now what he says, my hands in the air, I'm not armed, I go negotiate with you, what do you want, what can we do? Let's come appease it, right? Let's put it to an end like that. And he's surrendering to the one who robbed somebody, who takes somebody as hostage. Why is he surrendering? That is a phenomenon. Because that very specific moment calls for somebody to surrender to handle the situation. Of course, during the conversation, bang, there goes a bullet. The guy gets killed. That's in the long run. In the short run, we're talking about somebody has to do this. To respect what? Respect the situation. Am I right? Now, suppose if you're in a crowded theater, you're forbidden to cry, fire, fire. You can't do that. Question, can I apply my freedom of speech, a freedom of expression to say fire? No, I'm sorry, you can't. Because that's a fully packed theater. People are free. There are people who are afraid of the word fire. You get on an airplane, you say, hi, Jack. You're not saying that to me, right? You're going to the bank, hi, Rob. You don't want to do that. So there are limitations. There are always limitations. If these guys want to joke about anything, go joke somebody else. Why they do consistently target Prophet Muhammad, who they like, people like we like our God. Same thing. So after such a long statement on my side, do you or do you not agree with me?
Well, I think you gave an analogy about providing a substance at an event that gives off an odor that impacts people. I have trouble, Jack, relating to that to a statement either by picture or words. Okay? I have trouble relating yelling fire in a theater, which historically has created panic.
Thank you.
And has created a problem with somebody standing on a corner preaching or somebody distributing material. You don't have to stand and listen to the person on the corner preaching. You don't have to buy this cartoon.
The stinky food. How about that?
No. If the cartoon was being forced on people, like the stinking food is in the air and everybody has to breathe it, the yelling of fire in a theater,
everybody hears it.
Everybody hears it.
You have no choice.
In the case of a person standing on a corner preaching words you don't like,
you're right.
You don't have to listen.
Yeah, sure.
In the
That's a
case
different
of,
situation.
In the case of making a publication, the ultimate is nobody buys it, and then they die. Okay?
All right.
The fact of the matter is, and I don't follow this horribly closely, but the news has reported that their cartoons of this magazine in France were not just oriented toward Mohammed-oriented characters.
I understand.
They took on political figures and
even the Pope
and the Catholic Pope. If you don't like it, don't buy it. If you don't like it, don't look at it.
All right. Okay.
It's not like stinking the air that everybody breathes.
Understand.
It's not the same as yelling fire in a closed space. Don't take the newspaper.
I understand. Right. Are you
Don't
done?
listen to the discussion.
Sure. Are you done?
You have the option to stay away from that information.
Okay, good.
You're not obligated to listen or to read it.
I heard you.
I see it very differently.
All right. So, are you done, right? You're done.
On that point.
Okay, on that point. Okay, now, we're talking about obviously two different environments, two different situations. Situation number one, unpreventable. Situation number two, preventable, right? If you see somebody acting strange, for example, I don't like people standing on a box, on a plastic box, doing this kind of a robotic dances. I don't like that. Every time I see that, I just circumvent it. I get away from them, right? That is situation that's preventable. If I end up in a theater, somebody cries fire. If I end up in an airplane, somebody creates a danger, right? So I have a problem because that is unpreventable situation.
That's right.
Now,
And you're locked in.
yeah, you're locked in. Being unpreventable applies to my connotation of the world is that we are in a world that unpreventably in a situation that there are very small number among the population who take it radically, who act radically, who act criminally, who act extremely. So for that, I don't want myself getting in it, and I can't get out. Martians I can move to Mars, right? So I have to stay on the global Earth. That endangers my own self. So what I call upon is that to respect the limitations while applying your freedom, to respect the rules, boundaries, while exercising your freedom of speech. Try to prevent people who are vulnerables, because we're vulnerable in that case. We don't want to revenge anybody on anything, but there are a small number of people who always think about revenge as a business. So, am I making a point?
You're talking about individual responsibility?
I'm talking about the human race, how we consider that we shall conduct our
Now you're
day-to-day
talking
life.
about the word respect,
Respect, yes.
which we agree 100%.
All right, good. Let's take a short moment out. Before he jumps on another criticism, I really have to cut him off. So we'll be right back, please. Hello, my dear folks. Welcome back to the show. As a matter of fact, it's a very nice discussion. I call it a very intellectual discussion, high-end discussion with a good friend of mine, Mr. Drexel Smith. The more we argue, the more I like him. And probably we should continue arguing for the sake of liking each other. Right now, back to my point, which I made clear already. As a summary though, I want to say one thing. Everything has a limitation. Every limitation doesn't mean so reasonably, right? Yet limitation is a limitation regardless, for the sake of the vulnerables, for the sake of protecting vulnerables, even if there is a limitation which is not reasonable, temporarily can we surrender? Can we capitulate ourselves to a situation that you want to get in the long run, get control of the entire situation, rather than playing strong, stand tall to a kind of a hostage situation, say, I'm not surrendering, come out or I kill you, like that.
Well, Jack, I think in this particular discussion, we have several pieces. If I'm to slice out the piece of this entire discussion called freedom of expression, be it speech or in print,
All right.
on that particular topic, I will remain firm that the freedom is total. That is to say, at the same time, there are consequences. I think every person, you, me, your audience, has had situations in their life when they have said something to a friend, a relative, or someone that they regret.
Yeah.
It's hard to take
You're
back.
right. You're right.
It's hard to take back words.
You're
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Very hard.
Okay.
Whether
You're
those
right.
words are in a letter or something spoken, we've all said something that later we regret.
Thankfully, you are talking about scenarios when you do have the opportunity to regret.
Well,
But in reality, there are moments there is no regret.
but Jack, to make my point,
Yeah.
we regret them in certain situations. If my behavior and my conversation is inappropriate in your home, the first thing that will happen is I will never get invited again. That's a consequence of me exercising my freedom
Yeah, sure.
without having responsibility. So I still make the argument strongly. I have the freedom of speech to even say something I may regret, but at the same time I'm going to suffer those consequences.
Yeah, finally we're on the same page.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now,
Finally you
where
made
I-
yourself back on the same
where
page.
where I disagree, where I may disagree, is I don't think it's the job of the government to put in the rules. I think it's self-regulating.
Neither do I.
Okay?
Neither do I.
That's where I think the rubber and the road meet. Do I think that people have the freedom to draw cartoons? Yes.
Yes, they do.
The consequences are, if society thinks it's inappropriate, then society simply don't buy it. It isn't for sale anymore.
All right.
And they self-regulate themselves
All
out.
right.
So on the topic of speech, I remain somewhat firm in my unbridled freedom,
All right.
but recognize there's self-regulating consequences.
You're so right.
Now-
You're so right. Yes.
I'm going to come over here and talk about another piece.
May I please ask you to allow me about 10 seconds of insertion, please?
Yeah, of course.
You're
This is
talking
your
about
show.
you're talking about a situation about the consequence, to be aware of the consequences, right?
Yes.
That's exactly the point. You are really hitting the nail on the head. Now, we have a whole Bay Area that is forbidden of swimming. Why? Because of shark. Because there is a shark there. Because of that one shark that exists in the whole area of a bay, for example, 100 square miles, the whole water is untouchable because of the single shark. Right? Now, are you applying your freedom and saying it's my freedom to dip my body into water, whatever water I choose? So even if by chance the shark may not come get you, but you are still having to bear the consequences. The consequence meaning that, okay, bring the whole thing back to the definition: freedom versus limitation. Limitation means that there is boundaries. You are not supposed to jump into the water. Am I right? That's the 10 seconds of insertion.
But you see, where I part company, I think it's wonderful if our society has the technology to pinpoint the shark
Exactly.
and to put out an announcement, there's a shark there.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think it's society's responsibility to keep you out of the water.
No. I'm not saying that anybody's responsibility, the society or the government.
And I
I'm
think
talking about as human race.
We have in too many places where there's an expectation that we're protected from all of these hurtful things. You know, if you walk on the freeway and get hit by a car, there's a certain amount of responsibility on your part for doing something really stupid.
Of course. All right.
So, I guess, Jack, I think to put up a barrier to say there's a cliff you don't want to fall off is different from putting up a wall that says you can't even walk there and enjoy the view.
I understand. I understand
Okay.
what you mean. I'm
But
considering what you mean.
let me
yeah.
come back to the other part of the puzzle
All right.
of this tragedy in France. And let's don't forget, in the past 25 years, we have seen a growing number of tragedies
Terrorist
by
attack.
a radical element of
Radical
people
elements of people. Yes, you're right.
that appears to be driven as religious banner. I'm doing this under a religious idea.
Let's say they happen to be found within certain range of area or belief.
Well, I would say to you that there's a
something like
list
that.
of almost 40 incidents where there has been major tragedies with loss of life by terrorist-related activity,
Yes.
all coming from the same sector.
All right.
My point to you as I started this show with my remarks, when is the rest of the world going to simply say, we've had enough?
Exactly. Does that 40 events add up together, make one signal that please do not touch their God?
Well,
Why do you have to touch their God? You can go kill the extremist, you can go kill the terrorist or whatever, go ahead, right? Why do you have to touch their spiritual leader? A symbol, right? So that doesn't make sense to me. The numbers here do not add up. Okay, now one last thing.
Jack, that may be
Right.
some type of justification for this incident in Paris, where there's a apparent nexus between cartoons making fun of their God,
All right.
and they did that.
All right.
But let me share with you, my friend, the World Trade Center of 9/11, the subways in London,
Yeah.
and all of the list of things had nothing to do with any demagoguery of their religious.
No, I'm not linking this.
I'm talking about it. I see, and I started my remarks with an opportunity.
I promise you,
There's an
Drexel,
opportunity for the world.
I promise you, Drexel, if you really dig enough, there is always a cause, so it's a leading cause or a leading element or contributing element to each of the events, all right, from which we might learn a lesson we don't. Okay, that is my point. Now, talking about numbers, right? I have my last question, one last point to check with you. By the way, of course, we're not done yet with any of the subject we touched so far, right? We need to call another one. So, my last thing though, the increase of the circulation, increase of printing of 3 million copies, and the expectation of 5 million copies of next week, does that tell you something? Somebody is benefiting from it?
No, it just tells me that people are emotionally reacting. They're just making their own demonstrative
If
remark.
you are emotionally demonstrating you're a strong mind, how about you maintain your day-to-day activity? Same thing, like nothing happened.
Jack, look.
Let me ask you,
Jack,
are those
I would
extra
say to
$3
you-
million sold? Are those extra $5 million sold?
Yeah.
Are there money to be made, or is there money to be made? To whose pocket?
Jack, my answer is very simple. Up until 10 days ago, I would have never thought about buying that publication. If I was in Paris today
You would.
and saw it on the street, would I buy it as a matter of protest? Only to throw it away? Maybe.
You would, right?
My point is, I
right.
think that this is an emotional statement
You are making a point
people-
exactly help my point.
of people just simply saying, you are not going to bull your way into interfering with freedom of
No,
speech,
no.
even if I don't like the publication.
Okay, Drexel, let's be logic. I know you're a very logic man. By logic, if you want to act strong, you want to stand tall,
Yeah.
how about you maintain your day-to-day activities, still do the same thing? that will be a signal to me. So we are unbeatable. All right? We still stand as tall as we are. That's it. Chin high in the air. We do that. I will be proud of that, and I'll join them as one of them, right? Now, come on. There's a proverb, right? You can't find it, follow the money. Are those 3 extra $1 million copies for free? Extra $5 million for free? No. Somebody must be benefiting from the contradiction, the problematic world, trying to make a point, in the meantime make money. Am I right? Or once again, what I'm saying here is totally nothing but my personal point of view. Doesn't represent anything, neither the show nor the organization. Okay, Jack Chow, Jack Chow, Jack Chow. That's it. Am I making a point? Be it right or be it wrong, criticize me. It's your freedom, right?
My statement is, most of the time, I agree, follow the money, there's an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, I would agree to take a very logical, peel the onion, as I like to say, to understand. In this particular case, I don't agree with you. I don't agree it has anything to do with money. I think it's all about an emotional reaction.
It's also a freedom to disagree, right? So I respect your right to agree, to disagree regardless. And please respect my right to express myself, all right? So, my dear audience, we're going way over time. I'm very sorry for that, but I feel glad that we did say something we want to say. Okay, either him or me, my dear friend, Drexel Smith, to him I appreciate it very much. Thank you for coming here.
And we continue to be good friends.
Okay, of course. And to my dear audience, thank you very much for watching.